I'm going to say something that's maybe a little bit shocking, but probably true. And it's this, that AI probably knows you better than anybody else. And that's wild to think about just because AI is relatively so new. But a study recently came out in June of 2025 that a third of Americans have used AI as a therapist. And the little caveat to this is if you're using AI, which more and more people are using it every single day, AI is getting to know you better than almost anybody. And that's really wild to think about. It knows contextually what you have, the types of relationships that you have, what you value based on your entire interaction with it. A really, really interesting thing to do is to go to ChatGPT and say, tell me something about myself that I might be too afraid to admit, and then see what it says to you. It is wild what it actually says and knows about you. It knows your vulnerabilities, it knows secrets that you probably haven't told anybody before. But there's something that you can use with respect to this close relationship that people have with AI. And that is that it knows contextually what people value, what they're worried about, what they should be looking for. And it knows more than like a standard search engine. So today we're going to be talking about why this is important and why it needs to dramatically change your content strategy and your strategy when it comes to marketing overall. Because AI is going to get to know people better than pretty much anybody else. And so when it comes to being the business that's going to be referred by AI, it's important that you're not making generic content. That's why we're going to be talking all about client avatars in the era of AI, why it's more important than ever for both social content, email content, SEO, ads, anything that you're doing, it needs to be tailored to your ideal clients. We're going to go through the new direction that I think is really important in marketing, which is how client avatars plus AI plus content buckets are going to help to deliver the new direction of marketing. So too many businesses, I think, are creating just really generic and boring content. And the reason is that they're making content for everybody. And what ends up happening in cases like that is that it simply gets lost in the noise. There's just more content being produced more than ever, more quickly than ever. And so if it's not for a specific group or provides specific value, it's just going to be passed over. So think about this really quick. Have you created Facebook content or emails or blog posts and you think they're really good and they have a lot of great information, but they simply just don't get any traction? People don't read them, people don't click on them, they get no likes, they get no appointments, and you end up kind of just feeling frustrated. The problem that a lot of people have when it comes to creating content are that they are looking at content like they were back in like 2011 or 2012, where we'd create blog posts and there wasn't as much noise then. And so as a result, they're simply not getting the results that they want to. So we're going to run through why this new type of client avatar marketing is more important than ever, how to define your client avatars, and we're going to talk about what you absolutely want to be known for in your practice. The old school targeting options where we would just target, specifically age, gender, zip code, that's just not enough anymore. The landscape has completely changed and it's being just dramatically sped up by social algorithms, ad platforms, and AI search demand. So those three things are going to really disrupt the market, and they already are disrupting the market. And if you're not making these changes, you're going to be left behind and wondering why your marketing isn't working, why it's not resonating with the right groups of people, and ultimately help you figure out why you're not happy with the existing clients. And ultimately, why you're not happy with the new clients that are coming in the door. The goal here is to really try to build out marketing and systems and content that's going to attract the perfect client that you're looking for. Now, I know that there's not like some magical unicorn client that's just going to come in the door and solve all of your business's problems. But if you're able to attract the types of clients that you look forward to seeing, that take your recommendations, that want to do the best for their pets, or they want to follow your recommendations, then this is going to be more important than ever. So the question that I have for you is, what do you want to be known for? If somebody thinks about, for example, like TPLO in Boise, Idaho, or they think about just dog wellness or like senior pet wellness or euthanasia, what do you want to be known for? And I don't think that a lot of practices are actually thinking about that right now. They're thinking like, I want as many clients as possible. Just let clients come in the door and hope that we stay in business. That's kind of like, I think, marketing strategy. Just as many clients as possible. But I think you should try to actually think about, if somebody were to think about a problem or solution, how could I be the number one person that would be showing up for that? I'll give an example. Like, I want to be known for marketing in veterinary industry. Like, I want to be, if you think about who should I reach out to for help with marketing in the veterinary space, I would like you to think like, hey, let's go and ask Brandon some questions. This reverse engineering approach helps you to really figure out who you should be targeting based on what you want to be known for. I think that most practices should have probably 3 to 5 buckets that are more niche specific buckets of specific areas in your business that you would want to be known for. So the first thing that I think you should do is really reverse engineer the types of procedures that you like doing or the types of clients that you like having in the door. Figure out what it is that you want to be known for when it comes to them. So maybe you want to be known in the community as the senior pet rehab or palliative care person, for example. That's going to be very different from the types of content that you'd be creating versus somebody who wants to be the TPLO specialist in the area or the dentistry person in the area. And so thinking about that, those several things that you want to be known for, I think is going to be really, really helpful. A few things that I think would be helpful in determining what it is that you want to be known for is, what are you like doing? What is most profitable? What is most fun? And also, what is there demand for? Like, if you're in a market like where I live, which is Grangeville, Idaho, and you want to be known for like TPLOs, for example, there's probably just not enough volume to be known for that. So you have to be practical in terms of like, what is it actually going to be that will help to fill your business? So there's a balance between being niche in terms of your market, but also not being too niche that there's not enough demand. So I just wanted to give you that caveat before we go any further, just so that we're not like, I only want to be working on sebaceous adenitis, and I live in Grangeville, Idaho, and there's no sebaceous adenitis cases. And so, like, as much as you want to do it, you'd have to expand your area that you're targeting or things like that. But if we work backwards from there and we think, what does this person that we're targeting need to hear, see, feel, or associate you with that? Those are the things that we really need to focus on. So we're going to be building content buckets around those associations. So let me tell you again what it is that people need to see so that they can see you as the person known for that thing. They need to hear things from you, they need to see things from you, and they need to feel things from you. So that includes a lot of content. That's going to include making content regularly on these topics, and it's going to help you to essentially build buckets of content around those associations. So what is a client avatar, and why is it important with respect to what you're being known for? So a client avatar are basically a detailed representation of one type of person that you're looking to attract with your marketing. It's not just about demographics, which are things like age and gender and income, but it's also about getting inside of their head and really understanding where they are. It's understanding things like their goals, values, and motivations, their frustrations, fears, and objections, and the transformation that they want to achieve and the role that you play in it. So their before state and their after state. It's almost like you're creating a real person that you're going to be creating marketing content for, and it's going to embody all of the traits of the best and most profitable clients in your practice. It really is important because if you're speaking to everybody, you're really speaking to nobody. It's like you're not selling toilet paper. It's not something that everybody needs and is bland and boring. And so it's going to help you to guide what topics you're going to be covering, the stories that you use, and the formats and mediums that you're putting out your content on. That's going to help to resonate more with the people that you're looking for. With respect to ad targeting and things, it lets you build sharper campaigns. That's going to help to cut through the noise, because if you can define people's problems specifically, They're going to assume that you have the solution, and you're also going to be able to tailor the offers that you create so that they provide more perceived value to these groups of people. With respect to AI, it's going to help to ensure that your content clearly signals to the different algorithms that are out there, this is what we're about, this is who we're for, and then AI is going to know who to serve your results to. So I'll give you a quick example here. Let's say I went into ChatGPT and I said, hey, I am thinking about doing golf and I want to learn how to golf. Help me find some good golf clubs to start. It's going to know that I've never talked about golf before, that I'm on a budget, and so it's probably going to be recommending lower cost kits, like maybe from even like a Walmart.com or an Amazon. If you oppose that to somebody else who's been talking about like PGA tours, how to improve their golf swings, workouts for golf swings, if it talks about like I need a driver to help me get an extra 5 yards in my drive, it's going to dramatically shift the types of golf clubs that it would suggest. That kind of context and that kind of detail is going to be more and more common when it comes to marketing. And it's that reason why we need to have a specific type of client avatar. And again, we're going to want to hit a balance of enough volume and market size, while at the same time being narrow enough that we can provide more perceived value to these people and help to convert more of them. So in just a second, we're going to talk about how to actually build some of these avatars so then we can design the buckets of content and ads and things that are going to help to attract them. But let me give you a quick example here in the different type of offers, and you can tell me which one would be more specific and more valuable. So let's go through, you're like, I want to target puppy owners, and that's the only thing that you have. So a person who just got a puppy. And this is the way that most practices are going about creating offers for new clients. For example, they have a puppy wellness package. It includes the first exam and vaccination series. It has flea and tick prevention. It has maybe some puppy training tips handout, and then maybe a discounted spay and neuter when ready. Like, it's comprehensive in terms of things that people actually want and need, but it's broad. It could be for anybody with a new puppy, and there's really no emotional hook or tie into that. Now, let's say we made an avatar of a remote worker. Maybe they're millennial. They treat their dog like their child. They work from home. They want convenience. They want luxury. They want confidence in their pet's healthcare, and like their dog is their baby, right? So if we're thinking about an offer for them, we might want to include the first exam, but they also get maybe some like concierge puppy exams, like telehealth that's on demand. Maybe they get a couple telehealth visits and check-ins included if it's needed, so that they could do pre-visit consults so that they know maybe they don't have to leave home if they're not ready. Maybe it could include something like customized vaccines and wellness plans. And those are emailed out on a regular basis to give them updates on exactly what's coming up. They understand why it's needed, what it does, and tells them not just the what they're getting, but the why behind it, why that's valuable. So maybe they get something like maybe a puppy parent productivity kit, and it comes with a pet cam and an enrichment toy so that they can keep an eye on their pet while they're either at work or while they're working from home to keep them busy, so that it's not disruptive to them. Maybe you could have enrichment ideas if they do have to leave their pet at home, including different types of activities that they can have their pet doing so that they're not bored and they don't feel so guilty. Maybe it includes a special puppy plan that's like a socialization schedule, and maybe you have like a daycare for these pets and things at your practice, and it includes first few visits to play care. Maybe they also get invited to a puppy social hour in their practice, where you can meet other pet owners who are similar to them and then also socialize their puppies as well. This is very different because it's built around their lifestyle, their identity, and their pain points. If somebody, like for example, if you're targeting somebody that does remote work, their pain point is that when they're on Zoom calls, their dog is being disruptive, probably. If they're working out of the home, maybe they feel guilty that they're leaving their pet in the home. But this helps to increase convenience. It helps to increase the social experience for their dog, and it helps them to meet the goals that they want to when it comes to being a responsible pet owner. There's a big difference. The first offer just says, we help puppies. Then the second one says, we see you, we know what you're looking for, and we're going to be treating your dog differently and we're going to help you to treat your dog like a baby. And here's the package that would do exactly that. The thing is, though, probably both types of offers could be helpful for different types of clients. It just depends on who it is that you're looking to attract. If you had somebody that was in the second camp, that second offer would appear more valuable and you'd probably end up with happier clients. So let's talk about how to build these different avatars so that you can then strategize around building out specific offers, content, and then ads if you're interested in doing that. So first of all, you need to look at your favorite clients. Think about things like who is profitable, who are your most profitable types of clients, who are the easiest to work with, who are the ones that are fun to work with, and who also gives you great results. There's this book called The Win Without Pitching Manifesto. I love that book. I highly suggest you read it. But it breaks down that we really do things for two reasons. One is fun, and the other is money. And eventually the fun wears off, by the way. So if you think about like when you were first a vet or working in a vet hospital, it was probably your dream job. And at some point, it loses its novelty and is no longer fun. So the money is important there. So typically I like to do things for fun and money, in that you're having a good time with these types of clients, but also the money is great. So always be working for both of those things, not just one or the other, because it'll help you to be less miserable when things kind of wear out of the fun. But I want you to think about these clients. I want you to list out what really makes them ideal. The top level of things that we really look at here are the demographics. This is the surface level info. This one's easy. We go through age ranges, genders, family status, occupation, income, locations, those types of things. Those demographic details are easy to gather. But then we have to go even deeper with psychographics. So psychographics are the characteristics about what they value, what they fear, what are their pain points, what are their hopes, those types of things. So what are their goals and desires? What do they want the most? Think about that for a second. What are their pain points and frustrations? What keeps them up at night? If you can find a problem that keeps people up at night, things that they stress about, that is incredibly valuable because you can offer a solution that directly solves that problem. Then we have values and belief. What do they stand for? What are their objections? Why might they say no to your offer? And really think about that. And then what are the buying triggers? What pushes them to take action? The next thing that you really need to think about is capturing their language. So what do your clients typically say? How do they speak? When you're talking to them, what are the types of questions that they're asking and how are they phrasing those questions? You can also go online and find forums. Reddit is a fantastic way to go out and find what people are talking about, how they actually describe their problems, the language and phrases that they use, and write down the phrases that they're going to say, not just how you would describe them. For example, if you're always using the word radiographs and your clients are using the words x-rays, that's something that's going to be a distinction that's going to make it less likely that somebody's going to understand what you're saying, and also that maybe they don't understand the value or the difference. So let's create a client avatar really quickly. Let's say we're targeting senior pet owners and we live in a market that has snowbirds in it, for example, maybe Florida, for example. So let's say that we have Mary Thompson. She's 64. She's female. She lives in a suburban area, but she's an empty nester. She's widowed with adult children out of the house. Her occupation was she's a retired teacher and she's living on a fixed income, which is like pension and Social Security. And she has a dog, Buddy, who is a 12-year-old lab, and she wants her senior dog, Buddy, to live as long and as comfortably as possible. She values quality of life over cutting-edge, expensive procedures. Her pain points are that she's really worried about the cost of vet care on a fixed income. She feels guilty she might have missed signs of decline. She fears the grief that comes with losing Buddy soon, because she knows that it's going to be soon, but she wants to make sure to maintain quality of life as long as possible. The values that she has is she believes that pets are family, they deserve dignity and care and high quality of life in their golden years, and she really wants a warm, compassionate vet who explains things clearly. The objections that she might have are things like, I don't want to spend thousands of dollars on diagnostics that might not change the outcome. She's not sure if putting her dog through big procedures or treatments at this point in its life is fair. And the buying triggers and things that she might have, for example, are Buddy, her lab, showing signs of discomfort, like limping, slowing down, not eating, she sees or hears about a program specifically designed for senior pets would also potentially be a buying trigger too. But the language and phrases that she uses are, I just want him to be comfortable. Um, he's been through everything and been with me through everything, so I owe him the best, and I don't want him to suffer. So I want you to notice how dramatically different this is from just senior pet owner. In this instance, we're looking like the old way that you would probably talk about this is a senior pet owner who's age 60 plus. It's not that. It's Mary. She has a story, she has emotions and beliefs, objections and language. And when you create an avatar like Mary, you're going to be able to reach thousands of people who are just like Mary in similar situations. And I think one of the big differences here too is that when you're creating content for a person like Mary, it gives you tons of different ideas. You can think of conversations that you've had in practice, stories that you've had in practice for things like, let's say Mary's dog gets some type of cancer. You could talk about treatment outcomes, quality of life expectations, and frame it in a way that's going to resonate with people just like Mary. And so this helps you to create a lot more compelling of content, a lot more compelling ads, and a lot more compelling offers for these types of people. So having this in place, we're going to understand that the client avatars are going to shape the way that we really tailor and focus our content, our offers, our emails, basically everything that we're trying to attract. And I think having a mix of these types of clients are going to be helpful because the way that social algorithms are changing, especially if you're creating social content regularly, you really want to have several different types of buckets. You want to have more general buckets that you're putting out that are going to be catch-alls and have overlap for things like you have dog owners, like Mary falls under that dog owner category, but she also falls under the large pet category. And so there's going to be overlap with a lot of these different types of buckets. But I think it's becoming more and more important that you're creating content for a specific problem or a person rather than just something that's like more informational and general. Interest graph changes that are going on within social media. We don't really have social media in my opinion anymore. You don't typically go on to Instagram or TikTok to see what your friends are doing. People will still go onto Facebook to catch up and see what family and friends are doing, but that's more the exception rather than the rule because interest is what drives social media algorithms now. And that's been the change since TikTok has come out. But your feed is prioritized based on interest based rather than on social connections. And if you even, like, for example, go and click on a friend's reels that they just posted, and you swipe up, the next reel is not going to be somebody you know. It's going to be something that's interesting, funny, entertaining, or going to help, basically keep you on the platform longer. Because the algorithms are rewarding relevance. And the same AI algorithms that are showing you content and figuring out what your interest graph is are the same algorithms that are the ones that are serving ads and trying to find customers for you. So specific content tied to niche interests get far more engagement than just broad and general content. And that seems counterintuitive because if you make something more broad, it would appeal to more people, but it just really gets lost in the noise. So without having a clear client avatar, your content risks just being too generic to resonate, and it's not helping you at all. And as mentioned, these same algorithms that are pushing out content are the ones that are used in ad placements too. Creative ads targeting is a real thing. So the ad creative that you take, whether it's social content that works well with a certain niche, or if you're putting it into, like, for example, Google Ads or Performance Max, having ad content that is tailored to these avatars helps these different algorithms to see who's engaging with the ad and show to more of those people. Those paid media platforms now allow hyper targeting. I mean, there's just crazy amounts of details with demographics, behaviors, lookalike audiences, and all of that helps you to target and break through the noise. Another thing, too, is that ad fatigue is higher than ever. So people definitely are annoyed by ads. And people really, really ignore generic pitches. So you can either be really funny, you can be really entertaining, have great sales skills, or you can just be really specific. So I think being specific is the easiest way to cut through the noise because it's hard to build the skill of creating ad creative that is just really, really engaging. Some ad creative that I think are like case studies for really high quality ad creative are like the Purple Mattress, the Squatty Potty, Poopery. There's the Harmon brothers who created all of those ad campaigns, really set the stage for what type of content does well as ads. And production quality is very, very high with that. And it's a difficult skill to acquire. And it's also very expensive. And so instead of trying to be like the best at creating really engaging, funny, entertaining, and also transactional content, you could just be ultra niche and it would be interesting, engaging, and relevant because the person has that specific problem. So, tailored ads that are rooted in avatars are going to help to cut through that noise and make it so that you don't even have to have the high production quality. You're going to be relevant because you're in and talking to the problems that they currently face, which is why they're going to be interested. Search is shifting much more towards intent based answers, not just keyword stuffing. And these AI tools are going to prioritize context and depth, knowing that your avatar is really finding the content, the answers, and the information that they're looking for that's going to resonate not just with the question that they have, but their pain points, their values, and not just the surface level type facts. Because these new systems, like, it's going to give them much better results and keep the users coming back if it's solving their more nuanced pain points and problems. So once we have the avatars, we need to figure out these different buckets that we're going to be breaking information down into. The strategic buckets that I think are going to help to map the client avatar's journey. So we have the informational buckets, that's the educational and how-to type content. We have pain points, that's going to be their frustrations, objections, and roadblocks. Aspirational type buckets that are going to be success stories, transformations, vision casting, things like that. And then authority and trust, which is behind the scenes, proof, case studies. But you don't only want to create informational content. And I think that's where most practices live, is just at the very top of the funnel. And the reason why you're not seeing more new clients in the door is just because you're staying at the informational, which is going to help to generate awareness, but it's not going to give people the rest of that journey that they need to go from being strangers to then coming in the door and actually being clients. Pain points and aspirational and authority and trust, especially pain points, like when you're creating content around the different pain points that they have, it's going to create urgency and also emotional connection. And that's really what's missing when it comes to just educational, informational type posts. And I know that veterinarians really value education and information because they've been in school for so long, but the average person doesn't necessarily need to know everything about everything. They need to know enough so that they can then make a decision. And so it's a weird shift that I think you need to fight the urge to give people a textbook of information and rather focus on the types of things that they're going through, their pain points, and focus on more of their problem rather than just the information. So let's walk through a really quick kind of an outline of an avatar case study. Let's go back to Mary, the 64-year-old lab owner who's owned that lab. That's now 12 years old. So going over that again, and we have 64-year-old retired teacher, fixed income, owns Buddy. And they live alone. Buddy is her companion, but she's worried about cost. She has guilt about missing signs. She has fears that Buddy is suffering. And her goals are to keep Buddy as comfortable, happy, and by her side for as long as humanly possible. And so this is dramatically different when we're creating content and ads and offers versus the old way. And I'll show you what that is. If you simply say things like, we help senior pets, you're going to really miss that emotional core. When you know Mary's story, you're able to connect on empathy and not just on information. So the biggest marketing shifts that we're going to see are the contextual wins that you're going to have. So AI, social, and ads are all going to be more specific. And this is going to make it more likely for people just like Mary to see you as the vet for her rather than just another vet. So let's talk about content buckets. What would we want to do? So for example, informational, for Mary, things like 5 signs your senior dog may be in pain. Here we're talking about information, but it's also things that she's worried about deeply. So I don't want to make sure that Buddy is in pain and I don't know it. Things like how often should senior pets visit the vet? That's going to help her to avoid the fear of overspending. But at the same time, she wants to do right by her dog. And so she wants to make sure she's doing everything possible. Pain points that she would be having and the type of content that you could create around that would be like, is it time? Here's how to tell if your senior dog's quality of life is declining. What to do if I can't afford senior pet care is another pain point. Talk about different payment plans, savings plans, wellness plans that you have, things like that. Aspirational type of content that you could create for her. So here's Meet Buddy, 2 extra happy years from this simple lifestyle change. So talk about things that make a dramatic impact in quality of life, that don't break the bank, things like that. And then here's another aspirational idea, like 3 ways that you can make your senior pet's golden years truly golden. With authority and trust, you could do case studies. So talk about like arthritis management and success. Talk about rehab, talk about cold laser therapy, things like that. And then testimonials. So talk about maybe a pet owner who had a dog come in for chemo, what that was like, and what the end result was. Things like that. But that's just dramatically different from, we see senior pets, we love senior pets. And translating this into the types of offers that you'd be creating. So like the general old style of senior pet offer. So we have a senior pet wellness package. It includes exam, blood work, and arthritis screening. Like it definitely has some value generally to the audience, but it's really broad and it's something that you would expect to see pretty much on any veterinary hospital's website. But if you have an avatar-based plan that's going to speak directly to this type of person, you would, number one, name it something. So here's the Golden Years Comfort Plan. With that, you get a senior comprehensive exam with pain and mobility assessment. You'd get something like a customized care plan that focus on comfort and quality of life, not just expensive procedures. It might go over things that they can do at home and help them to proactively be a partner in their pet's health. You could talk about affordable monthly. You could have in this offer an affordable monthly payment option, which is perfect for people on fixed incomes. You could have like a PDF guide or something that's like the Golden Pet Parent this is an alliteration, I'm sorry, but the Golden Pet Parent Guide, which is going to offer tips on diets, enrichment, and home modifications that you can do to help improve quality of life. And then you could also include something like priority phone consults for peace of mind when Buddy has a rough day, and then just answer questions. But this really is an offer that's designed for Mary's life and not just any senior pet parent. But ultimately, avatars are going to give clarity on that. And the content buckets and content that you're going to do is going to help you to attract more of them, cut through the noise, and tailor offers to make them feel like it's built just for them, which is going to increase the perceived value and also increase the happiness that they feel as being your client. You want them to feel lucky that they're going to be able to come to your veterinary hospital. So the end result is going to be that you're going to have more connection, more conversations, and stronger brand positioning for both humans and also AI with respect to the search. I really think that practices that take this seriously are going to be light years ahead of other practices because I don't think this is optional anymore. They're really the foundation on which you're going to build the client base that you want to be growing in your practice. And I think that you really, really need to ask yourself, what do we want to be known for? And then reverse engineer it to attract that avatar. AI, these new algorithms, interest graph, they reward specificity. And if you don't claim your avatar, the algorithm is just going to serve up whatever generic content you have on your site. And you're going to get more of the types of clients that might not be a good fit. And you're going to hope that you get the right types of clients rather than planning and growing the practice that you really, really want to do. So I don't want to leave you just with information. I want to give you some things that you're going to be able to use. But this week, I really want you to pick at least one avatar. I think 3 to 5 would be good. But if you're just going to do one thing this week, pick one avatar this week and ask yourself, what do I want to be known for to this person? I want you to create a piece of content in each of the different buckets. We have the informational, the pain, the aspiration, and the authority aspect. And then if you would be interested, if you create on Instagram, like send me an Instagram of the content that you create, and I'd be happy to look through it and actually tell you what I think. If you're looking at writing or creating some ads, please feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to help you with that. Another thing too is that I've got a PDF guide that goes along with today's episode. So if that's something that you would like to see, be sure to send me an email at brandon@maverickdigitalmarketing.com and I will send you that PDF. It goes detailed step by step on how to really define these avatars, how to create offers that are going to be really, really high value and resonate with these people, and then give you a content strategy to try to attract them as well. If you need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I think this is really exciting because it is new, it is a land grab, and the practices that move quickly are going to be the ones who win. So I hope that you have a great week. If you need anything, let me know.